Steamy and stormy weather across the Bluegrass State. We'll track tropical temperatures and thunderstorms just ahead.
A stay-in-place order has been lifted after a train derailment sent dozens of cars off the track. We'll have a live report from Pendleton County.
And Kentucky State Police are investigating a threat against a Central Kentucky Police Department.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good afternoon to you. Within the last hour, a shelter-in-place order has been lifted in a northern Kentucky community following a train derailment this morning.
Dozens of cars came off the track around 11 this morning in Falmouth in Pendleton County. There was concern about chemicals in some of the train cars, but just moments ago, officials said there was no hazmat situation. WKYT's Sean Moody is live in Falmouth with the breaking details. Sean?
It has been a long day out here for everyone, from the people out here trying to work the accident to the people who live in Falmouth. There was a lot of questions about whether or not they'd be able to get back into their homes anytime soon. Some were concerned it might be hours or days before they knew whether or not they'd be able to get back. Some had medication, some had pets, but now we've been told there is no hazmat leak and people are able to go back to their homes. Now, this was a CSX train that was heading from Cincinnati to Atlanta. It didn't make it very far out of Cincinnati, obviously, to Falmouth before it derailed. It was 125 cars in all. 23 of those cars derailed. We're told 76 of the cars on this train were loaded. Some of them had hazardous materials in them, but none of the cars that had hazardous materials actually ended up leaking those materials. Now, it took the Northern Kentucky Hazmat team a while to assess whether or not there was any dangerous leak. They were out here for a lot of the day in this area that's near Woodson Street in Falmouth, several blocks around the area, including this main highway that runs north-south between Lexington and Cincinnati, Highway 27. They had that shut down while they worked to determine that. But now that it's all been determined, the EMA director in town says they are very happy to be back to normal here.
Oh, absolute relief. You know, I could go out and tell the county, because everybody's on pins and needles waiting to see what we got here to deal with. And, you know, if there was hazardous material, then that meant we would have to go into another whole operation. And now we're just, you know, standing here, traffic flowing, going by, and dealing with, you know, the railroad company now has to deal with the cleanup. But our residents are safe, and there's been no release of hazardous material. 27 flowing smoothly.
There is still a lot of streets having issues behind me here. The train tracks are a couple of blocks back there. Of course, all those train cars are still sitting back in there, and we're told it could be days before they get the whole mess cleaned up. Live in Falmouth, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Sean, thank you. It's official. Tropical weather pattern we've been talking about all week long has settled into the area, and it's bringing with it some rounds of storms.
And behind us is a live picture now of downtown Lexington. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. Chris, it's sticky out.
It is all about the steam and the scattered thunderstorms, but overall the thunderstorms will eventually win the battle as we get toward the latter part of the weekend. Right now, the steam is winning the fight. Look at what it feels like across the area. It's the heat index, or what your body is telling you the temperature is. Now, this is when you combine the thermometer with the humidity, and the humidity is just off the charts. Feels like 95 Lexington or Frankfort. How about a 98-degree feels like temperature into Mount Sterling? Now, actual thermometers are generally into the upper 80s across most of central and eastern Kentucky. That shows you just how humid it really is. Defender Radar Network, scattering of showers and thunderstorms popping up on cue this afternoon. Get into southern Kentucky. Stuff today is a little more scattered, a little more isolated, I should say, compared to yesterday. But we are still dealing with some stuff stretching across, especially the mountains of eastern Kentucky, Madison County, east side of Richmond, over toward Waco. We had a little gusty raindrop or two over the past hour and change. Future radar continues to show at least the possibility of some scattered thunderstorms going up this evening into the Bluegrass region. Just ahead, we'll focus on the forecast that covers later this week through the weekend and early next week. It's a pattern that is likely to throw rounds of heavy rain our way. We will break down that threat in greater detail in 15.
Chris, thank you. It was a bittersweet first day of school for students and staff at Booker T. Washington Elementary after the death of one of their former students and classmates. 11-year-old DeShannon Davis drowned on Sunday after falling into a pond at Lexington Cemetery. Grief counselors were on site this afternoon to provide comfort to those affected by the tragedy. We caught up with the school's family resource coordinator, who told us more about the young man. You'll hear from her tonight on WKYT at 6.
State police have started an investigation into the threat against a police officer. Someone sent a letter to the mayor of Bergen making threats against the city's only acting police officer. Casey Rucker says he believes the culprit is someone who is mad at him for doing his job.
My wife and my child's 3. She has no clue, but my wife, she has to constantly watch her back as well as mine. And that comes with the job because, you know, you're putting criminals behind bars, and you know they're upset because they have to go behind bars. But it's ridiculous that I'm here. I have to provide for my family. Okay, just like everybody else does when they go to a job. Just my job involves a lot more different things, and it involves the law.
Coming up on WKYT News at 6, we'll show you a portion of that threatening letter. A store in downtown Richmond could be closed for weeks because of a fire.
And investigators say that fire appears to be suspicious. It started late yesterday afternoon at the Family Dollar on East Main Street. Arson investigators were called in after crews knocked it down. A woman told WKYT that she was looking at her phone when she noticed smoke coming from the store. Firefighters had to cut into the bolted door to gain access. Chief Wayne Long said the initial investigation showed the fire started in the paper section of the store, which is now closed.
I hope and pray it'll be back up and running soon because I do get a lot of my personal belongings at Family Dollar.
Chief Long said investigators would be studying surveillance footage for clues to what started the fire.
Police in southern Kentucky are still searching for a man this afternoon accused of stealing a truck yesterday. Corbin police say Johnny Mullis was released from jail on Monday. He was in court Tuesday for a hearing. Police say as Mullis was leaving the Whitley County Courthouse, he stole an attorney's truck. There were 2 guns in that truck. No other details have been released. We'll have the very latest in that investigation on WKYT News at 5:30. Now to some stories making headlines across the nation at 4. We're learning more about the investigation into the death of a boy killed while riding a water slide in Kansas City. A source tells the Associated Press that 10-year-old Caleb Schwab was decapitated while riding the 168-foot tall ride. And several media outlets are reporting that the slide had not been inspected since 2014. The park will reopen tomorrow, but the slide will remain closed indefinitely. A woman in Florida was shot and killed by a police officer in a class about police procedures.
The chief called the death of 73-year-old Mary Knowlton a horrible accident. It happened in Punta Gorda, about 75 miles south of Tampa. David Begnaud is in there with the investigation.
It happened just before 7 p.m. Tuesday night at the Punta Gorda Public Safety Complex. Mary Knowlton was among about 35 people taking part in the city's 8-week Citizen Police Academy.
2 participants were randomly selected to be put through a shoot, don't shoot scenario. During the first scenario, in a horrible accident, participant Mary Knowlton was mistakenly struck with a live round.
The elderly victim was transported to a local hospital and pronounced dead. Her son gave a statement to CBS News saying, quote, "This is a devastating time for us. My mom was a saint, such a tremendous loss of a wonderful human being, and the best mom a kid could ever hope for."
Our entire police department and all of our city leaders are absolutely devastated for everyone involved in this unimaginable event.
Knowlton was reportedly shot several times. That's according to a photographer who was covering the event for the Charlotte Sun. Knowlton was active in the Punta Gorda community, volunteering as a board member for her local library group. The officer who shot and killed Miss Knowlton is on paid administrative leave right now. One of the questions people are asking is, why was a real gun being used in a fake situation? The police department says Miss Knowlton was well known in this community. This is a small community where everybody here at the police department knew her on a first-name basis. David Begnaud, CBS News, Punta Gorda, Florida.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is conducting the investigation.
Cost of going to work can add up quickly. How you can save some money coming up in WKYT Money Watch.
And Lyft is partnering with Starbucks. How the partnership could score you a free coffee after the break.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Welcome back to WKYT News at 4. If you're an AT&T customer, make sure to check the mail. You could have a refund check waiting for you. That begins today's Money Watch.
AT&T has agreed to pay nearly $8 million over allegations of cramming. The FCC says some customers, mostly small business owners, were charged $9 a month for a fake directory assistance service. Refund checks will be sent over the next 90 days. Ride sharing and coffee could soon go hand in hand. Lyft will begin selling $20 gift cards at participating Starbucks locations. The cards come with a $5 Starbucks gift card as a free bonus. Lyft says the partnership will help them gain market share and compete with rival Uber. How much does it cost you to go to work? A recent survey found the average worker spends thousands of dollars a year just to have a job.
Danielle Nottingham had some tips on how to save a few bucks while you're earning them.
Almost there. 10 seconds left.
Trainer Phil Catchadall knows it costs money to earn a living.
You have to spend money to make money, right? So I'm driving. I obviously have to eat well, keep up, do my training, pay for my gym stuff for myself, clothes.
Add all that to the price of commuting, and a Career Builder survey found the average worker spends $276 a month to go to work. That's $3,300 a year.
Most people think about their job and what they get in their paycheck. They need to think more broadly about what it costs them actually to earn that paycheck. The cost of getting to work, the cost of business appropriate clothes, the cost of daycare, pet care, it all adds up.
Nearly half of those surveyed spend at least $250 a year on clothes for work, and half of the employees who buy lunch spend $25 or more a week. More than 30% of people who need daycare spend at least $500 a month.
Even coffee adds up. About 1 out of 4 workers who buy coffee spend up to $25 a week, but there are ways to cut costs.
If you really put your mind to it, you can probably trim those costs down. Consider bringing your own lunch. Can you carpool?
For those who can't carpool, many employers offer benefits for cheaper rates on public transportation and even parking, helping to bring down those commuting costs. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Los Angeles.
It's a playground reimagined with your kids in mind. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about at Jacobson Park, ready to play today.
We have a tropical sky taking shape across central and eastern Kentucky. Up next, we'll show you how this sky becomes stormy over the next several days. A rainfall forecast you have to see to believe in a moment.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Tropical air back in the bluegrass state and really kicking into high gear over the next several days. We've got steamy conditions, and the stormy weather is really going to amp it up a bit later this week into the coming weekend. How about a back to school Wednesday for a lot of the kiddos out there, ending it on a steamy note, and again a little isolated shower or thunderstorm showing up across the region. Nothing that is terribly widespread, nothing we can't handle. Flow is coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, so look toward the southern skyline to pick up on some of those isolated showers and storms. Right now, especially a little more widespread here in the southern Kentucky from around Mount Victory, Pulaski County to the east and north of the Hal Rogers Parkway. Get into northern parts of Perry County, not too far away from Boonville and Jackson, and then north of the Mountain Parkway towards sections of Interstate 64. Flemingsburg down to Moorhead, getting in on a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Lexington Metro, boy, we are trying our best to squeeze out a little isolated shower or a thunderstorm. Not having a whole lot of success, though. But you want to see a tropical sky? Check out this live view from the station on Winchester Road, and this view's looking toward the north, and you've got that tropical setup that is out there just waiting to unload with some heavy rains whenever storms do go up. It's 89 Lexington, but look at the feels like number. 95 degrees right now is what your body thinks the temperature is. Humidity's way up there, 55%. Feels like number gets the combination of the actual temperature and the humidity. Today's rains more widespread now across parts of western Kentucky into southern Ohio. That's what we were going through yesterday. But the setup over the next several days, this may go all the way for the next week, to be honest with you, is coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, and that is a threat of heavy rain from the Gulf all the way into the Ohio Valley. Does that mean it's going to rain just all the time every day? No. It's not what we're talking about. You're going to get these waves of showers and thunderstorms that'll come our way. Tomorrow, it's more in the way of some scattered stuff. Tropical air is out there. Locally heavy rain's a good bet. But again, you get outside of a thunderstorm, it's going to feel like it's into the mid and upper 90s. Friday, storms will begin to increase, and especially on Saturday, you have to be on guard for some local high water issues. Saturday, Sunday, early next week appearing to be the prime times right now to get in on some heavy rainmakers in terms of more widespread stuff. What's out there tonight, end of the day tomorrow, is scattered, but again, it will pack a bit of a punch where it does go up into the afternoon and evening hours. Temperatures tomorrow back into the 80s. It's just going to feel hotter than that. Storms will increase as we go through the weekend and the long range call into early next week with a threat for showers and thunderstorms as well. Let's check on traffic now. Here's Officer Don.
Police are working about 3 collisions right now, including one that's causing some problems on Pasadena. This is going to be near Kirk Levington and Nicholasville is where this crash is. Police are still trying to get that cleared. Drive times this afternoon, so far we're okay. To Nicholasville, dealing with about 13 minutes or so. Outbound to Harrodsburg, normal traffic flow to Winchester is about 26. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Officer Don. Well, the kiddos in Fayette County were back in the classroom today with the new school year kicking off. Now, as you can imagine, many of these students are flocking to area playgrounds for some outdoor fun.
And our Deanne Stevens is out and about today, joining us from the all-new Jacobson Park Playground. Hi, Deanne.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We are here at Jacobson Park, the all-new, redesigned, reimagined playground. Hanging out with Jacob and Isaac here. Okay, how are we doing on this puzzle, buddy?
Good.
Are we having a problem getting it together? You think that's the eye? What do you think this is right here?
That's the mouth right there. That is half the head. That is the eye.
Yeah. So we got to move it around a little bit, don't we? This is kind of a cool place to hang out, maybe like after school. Yeah, keeps your mind going. What do you think? What's your favorite part about the new park?
I really like the big kid area over there.
Yeah, the big kid area over there. We like all areas, small and big. Ramona is with us, and Ramona, you helped redesign this playground here. Tell us about the Jacobson Park Playground.
Well, in redesigning it, we really wanted to pay homage to the existing playground, which was really beloved by the community and my family as well, and really try to salvage some of those pieces that we could and really take some clues from what was great about that playground in redesigning it and expand it and make it a little bit better and more. So we wanted to incorporate more landscape materials, stone, native materials, native plants, those kinds of things, and make it more of a playground in a garden kind of concept. And as you can see, there are a lot of those types of elements around now, and one of the things that we really like is that the kids are enjoying a lot of different types of areas and different types of play. So there's an under 2 tot area, there's 2 to 5, 5 to 12, and then bigger kids can enjoy it as well, and there's a lot of room to run around and play and explore.
Well, I was going to say, there's also places like we were just playing with Isaac there that will stimulate the brain for the little ones too.
That's right, and we wanted to look at ways to stimulate thought in a lot of different ways. So something like a puzzle there, or looking at plants. There's sort of some treasure hunts around to look for different plant materials. There are some footprints in the sidewalks to simulate different animals and things. So different ways to think about things, and then eventually here we'll have a stream that goes along and connects to the lake, and thinking about water resources and how we connect to the lake here at Jacobson.
And teaching the kids all about it. Who said you can't learn when you're on a playground, right? This is just kind of a continuing education when that bell rings for them to come out here and play. Now, coming up at 4:50, we're going to take you on the other side of the playground and show you what else is new here at Jacobson Park. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about. Check it out for yourself. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Deanne. Texas has its first Zika-related death. The details ahead in Better Living. Also, another reason to think Mediterranean when choosing your meals.
Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $67 million, and Friday's Mega Millions jackpot is $45 million.
Now it's time for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Florida health officials say 4 more people likely got the Zika virus from mosquito bites in a neighborhood just north of downtown Miami. That brings the total number of locally transmitted cases in South Florida to 21. Health officials in Texas confirm an infant who recently died had microcephaly linked to the Zika virus. It is the first Zika-related death reported in Texas. The child was born to a mother who was in a Zika-affected area in Latin America. There are no reported cases of mosquitoes transmitting the virus in Texas. New research suggests eating a Mediterranean diet can slow cognitive decline. A Mediterranean diet includes leafy greens, fresh fruit and vegetables, beans, and nuts. Researchers in Australia found the diet improves memory, attention, and language. And a new study finds people buy most of their junk food and sugar-sweetened drinks at the supermarket, much more so than at convenience stores, vending machines, and entertainment venues. The research from the University of Illinois pokes holes in the food desert theory, which claims that lack of access to supermarkets makes the obesity crisis worse because it restricts people's access to healthy foods. Now let's head to Chris for another check of the weather.
Yeah, dealing with temperatures today that are fairly typical for this time of year. The humidity, though, is atypical. It is off the charts. If you ever wondered what it was like to live along the Gulf Coast, well, wonder no more. This is it. You just need the beach. Current temperatures, upper 80s across the entire area, mix of sun and some of those tropical clouds out there that are spitting out at least a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms out there. Starting to pick up on a little lightning now. Showing up from the Lewis County area, not too far away from Maysville, and just north of the Moorhead area in Rowan County. That's going to be the trend as we go through the evening. Later this week, the thunderstorm action really begins to ramp up. I'll show you why the tropical connection can put down some big-time rains. That's just ahead. WKYT News at 4:30 starts right now.